All right, well, we're also going to be talking about spring cleaning this week on the show.
Fresh starts and new beginnings can translate to your relationship as well. So we went outside and we asked around, how can you tell when someone is in a new relationship?
You know people are in a new relationship when they're still holding hands.
Any relationship.
They absolutely disappear. Gone. You will not see them forever. And then they'll come back because their heart has been crushed.
There's that little bit of glow. There's something different. There's something like more interesting about them, and they're enthused about something that's going on, and you want to kind of know, and they want to tell you for the most part.
For the most part, he says. All right, well, relationship coach Chris Niffen joins us now to talk about judging relationship potential. Good to see you.
You too. Always nice to be here.
Yes, always good to have you here.
Thank you.
So I understand judging relationships is a simple 3-step process, and the first one, we're all victim of this one. You like a guy or a girl, how can we tell if that person likes us back and they want to continue on with the relationship?
Well, that one's hard, but let's start with the first thing. I think you got to get yourself in perspective. I think that's the first thing that you have to do. Look, relationships are going to work or they're not going to work. You know, we're afraid, we white knuckle it, we have hesitancy, and we have fear because we've been hurt in the past. But the reality is, I want you to start with a fresh perspective when you make that judgment, because otherwise you'll be all afraid. The reality is people get hurt in relationships, but I always say you can spare yourself that agonizing pain when it ends, or you can just have a simple bummer and disappointment when it ends. That is always in relationship to how long you stayed in there when you knew you shouldn't have, or that you doubted the things that you really wanted to say and you didn't bring them up. That's what makes them so painful. If they end more quickly, it's just a bummer. So when you first start going out, step 2 is get in the present and pay attention. We all go to the past. We're looking for that, oh, there's that sign. I'm going to be treated like that past relationship. And we all want to jump to the future because we think, oh, there's a sense of security. We're only seeing each other exclusively. Now I can take a big breath. All the fear and everything's over. You got to get into the present. First date, first thing you're always looking for, I tell all my clients, look, is there laughter? Does the conversation flow freely?
Because we never want that awkward silence. Or should we expect that? Is that normal?
Well, sometimes you can have that because everybody's not themselves right in the beginning. So don't necessarily say that you can't go out on a second date if the conversation's a little strained. But in general, if you're going to spend a life with somebody in a great relationship, you want free-flowing conversation, you want laughter, and you want to know if he or she asks you about you or just talks about themselves.
Oh,
that's the first
worst
thing you judge for. The second big thing you judge for, and people say, well, how do I, people make up, things or acting on their best behavior. How can you know right away? Well, I say ask for clarification. I always say this. When you want to judge relationship potential, it becomes a lot, how do they handle differences? That's why everybody's in couples counseling. They don't know how to deal with the differences. You come home from a date, well, you're married, but let's say in the old days, you come home from a date.
I've had my problems too.
That's right. You come home from
nightmare dates. Yeah.
You come home from a date and you get back and you say, we had a good time, but what did he mean when he said X, Y, and Z? I don't think that
to overthink it, don't you?
You think that really didn't settle with me. I'm not sure. Is that really how he feels? Because that kind of grates with my core values. So when you go back, you ask for clarification. You go back on a couple dates later and you say, look, when you were talking the other night and you said this and that, is that really what you meant? Because I'm not sure I quite understood. I don't really feel that way. Because what that does, that tells you everything about relationship potential. How does he do with questioning him, having differences when you don't feel the way he does? That's a great way, since you're not dating yourself, to know, because you're going to have this come up in relationships, so that's a great way, asking for clarification, to get it off the bat right away. Like, how does somebody do when you don't feel the same way?
But if it's not going to work, be honest with yourself is kind of what you're saying.
Be honest with yourself. The biggest thing we do when people come into my office for relationship coaching, we initially go over a big comprehensive wants and needs list. Needs are those things, look, you've been in relationships that haven't worked out. You're going to have a different set of needs on part of it than some people. Let's say you spent years in a relationship with no affection and you're an affectionate person. Your needs list is going to be, I need affection. Let's say you spent years in a relationship where you never felt like you were a priority. You felt you were 5th on the list. I'm a Scorpio. I have to be at the top, or it simply doesn't work for me.
You demand love
Well,
and
I don't
respect.
demand, but I know I'm not happy if it's
You
not
should
at the top.
demand.
It's true. I know I'm not happy. So basically, your need list in the future, if you weren't married, would be, I need someone who makes me a priority. So you're going to have personal needs, and then there are those needs everybody's going to have that's going to have to be on everyone's list in order for a relationship to work. Don Ruiz, in a book I quote on, or I reference on my website called The Mastery of Love, says it best. If you like cats, don't get a dog. More simply stated, more simply stated, somebody has to be pretty well acceptable as they are in the beginning, or it's your job to be responsible for yourself. One day I woke up years ago before I became a
Yep.
therapist, and I think everybody has that V8 moment. Wow, can I keep
You're
getting
getting
in
hit in the head.
relationships and blaming people and getting mad at them because they can't be what I want them to be? Or is it my responsibility to take the responsibility for myself? The only reason we're not getting what we want, we're wasting a lot of time
Wasting
in relationships.
time.
It's your personal responsibility. They don't just happen. Do you take charge of your relationships like anything else?
Take charge. I wish we could talk about this for 10 more minutes.
know,
but
I
we
could
gotta
talk a
let you
while.
go, Chris. I think the best thing that you said, though, pay attention to the signs, and we will. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely, great to be here.
Well, you can catch more of Chris's relationship advice in her monthly column in Healthy Planet, so check that out.